The lift that failed in 3 seconds. Part 1. The calm before the fall. In the next 3 seconds, everything you know about safe lifts will be shattered. 3 seconds. That's all it took for a routine material handling job to turn into a catastrophic freefall that injured workers, destroyed equipment, and exposed a chain of failures hidden in plain sight. This is the story of the lift that failed in 3 seconds, and why it could happen at any workplace that uses cranes, hoists, or lifting accessories. Welcome to Workplace HSE Explained. Today, we break down a real case study that shows how a lift can fail even when everyone thinks the job is simple. And as always, we start with a hook, because this incident didn't begin with chaos. It began with confidence. It was 10:15 a.m. at a fabrication yard. A 1.8-ton steel frame had to be shifted just 12 meters. A small job. A familiar job. The crane operator had done this hundreds of times. The rigger signaled, all good. The supervisor walked past without stopping. Everything looked normal. But hidden inside that normal were 5 deadly ingredients. A worn-out sling, a misjudged load angle, a rushed pre-lift check, a distracted operator, and a silent assumption that nothing will go wrong. These ingredients were about to mix. The crane hook lifted the load. The sling stretched slightly. Nothing unusual. The load rose to knee height. Workers stood nearby, chatting, unaware they were inside the danger zone. The operator rotated the boom. And then, the first second began. Second 1, a faint tearing sound. No one heard it. Second 2, the sling snapped violently. The load dropped like a stone. Second 3, the steel frame hit the ground with a force equal to a small car crash. Dust exploded upward. Workers ran. One worker tripped and suffered a fractured ankle. Another was hit by flying debris. 3 seconds, that's all. In part 1, we set the stage. In part 2, we uncover the hidden technical failures, the sling, the angle, the load path, and the human factors that made this disaster inevitable. Stay with me. The real lessons are just beginning. Part 2. The hidden failures. In part 1, we saw how a routine lift turned into a 3-second disaster. Now, we dig deeper into the technical and human failures that were quietly waiting to strike. Because lifts don't fail suddenly. They fail slowly, invisibly, and then all at once. Let's start with the sling. The lifting sling used that day was a synthetic web sling rated for 2 tons. On paper, it was safe, but in reality, it had cuts, abrasion marks, and a faded label. The inspection tag was unreadable. The rigger assumed it was fine because we used it yesterday. This is one of the most common lifting mistakes worldwide, using slings based on memory, not inspection. Next, the load angle. The sling was wrapped in a choke hitch, but the angle between the legs was nearly 70 degrees. At that angle, the effective load on each leg increases dramatically. A 1.8-ton load can easily exert more than 2.5 tons of force on a sling when the angle is wrong. This alone was enough to push the sling beyond its limit. Then came the load path. Workers were standing directly under and beside the suspended load. No barricading, no exclusion zone, no banksman controlling the area. When the sling snapped, debris flew outward, exactly what exclusion zones are meant to prevent. Human factors played a massive role. The operator was multitasking, talking on the radio while lifting. The supervisor didn't verify the lifting gear. The rigger was under pressure to finish quickly, and the team had performed similar lifts so many times that complacency had become the default setting. Finally, the pre-lift check. It lasted less than 20 seconds. No one checked sling condition, load weight, angle, or center of gravity. The lift plan existed only in the mind, not on paper. In part 3, we reconstruct the exact moment of failure second by second, and reveal how energy, physics, and human behavior collided to create the perfect storm. Part 3. The moment of collapse. Now we break down the failure as it happened, second by second, to understand the physics behind the collapse. Because every lifting accident is a combination of stored energy, weak components, and human assumptions. The load was suspended at knee height. The sling was already overstressed due to the angle. Synthetic slings behave like elastic bands. They stretch under load. That stretch stores energy, and when a sling fails, that energy is released instantly. Second 1. The sling fibers begin to tear internally. This is silent, invisible. The operator continues rotating the boom. The load shifts slightly, increasing tension on the weakest point. Second 2. The sling reaches its breaking point. A sharp snap echoes. The load drops. Gravity takes over. A 1.8-ton load, falling even 30 centimeters, generates impact forces equivalent to several tons. Workers nearby freeze for a split second. The human brain takes 0.2 seconds to react. Second 3. The load hits the ground. Dust erupts. A metal shard flies outward, striking a worker's leg. Another worker stumbles backward, twisting his ankle. The operator slams the emergency stop, but it's already too late. The aftermath is chaos. People shouting, workers running, supervisors rushing in. But the real story begins after the dust settles, during the investigation. Investigators found the sling had multiple cuts deeper than 2 millimeters. The angle was unsafe. No lift plan existed. No toolbox talk was conducted. No exclusion zone was marked. And the team had normalized shortcuts. In Part 4, we reveal the investigation findings, the root causes, and the powerful lessons every workplace must learn to prevent the next 3-second disaster. Part 4. The lessons that save lives. The investigation team reconstructed the entire event, from the worn sling to the unsafe angle to the missing controls. Their findings were clear, direct, and painful to read. But these findings are exactly what prevent future accidents. Root cause 1. Equipment not fit for use. The sling had visible damage. The inspection tag was unreadable. No one rejected it. This is a failure of inspection, supervision, and culture. Root cause 2. No lift plan. A lift plan is not paperwork. It is a risk control tool. Without it, the team relied on memory and assumptions. Root cause 3. Unsafe load angle. The angle increased the load far beyond the sling's capacity. Many workers don't realize how dramatically angles multiply force. Root cause 4. No exclusion zone. Workers stood inside the drop zone. A simple barricade could have prevented injuries. Root cause 5. Complacency. The team had done similar lifts hundreds of times. Familiarity replaced caution. Corrective actions. Mandatory sling inspection before every lift. Color-coded tagging system. Lift plans for all loads above 500 kilograms. Banksman-controlled exclusion zones. Supervisor sign-off. Refresher training on angles, load paths, and sling selection. Zero-tolerance policy for damaged lifting gear. This case is not just a story, it's a warning. Lifting operations fail in seconds, but they are prevented in minutes. A 3-second accident is always the result of 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years of ignored warning signs. And now the final message. If you found this case study valuable, share it with your team. Use it in Toolbox talks. Use it in training. Use it to save a life. Because safety isn't about rules, it's about people going home every day. This is Workplace HSE Explained. Subscribe for more similar videos. Stay alert, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.